All right, folks, welcome back. Reporting on the tragic death of Robin Williams. Here's Newsmax's John Bachman with a side of the great actor that you might not have known about.
Well, guys, today we did get a little more information about the death of the Academy Award-winning actor and comedic legend Robin Williams. The magnitude of this loss is really just starting to settle in Hollywood, on Main Street, and in the military. More on that in just a moment. But the initial reports do suggest that Williams died from suicide. For years, he talked openly about his periodic bouts of substance abuse and depression. Williams actually had checked himself into a rehab facility just this past June, that according to the UK's Daily Mail. But as we know, by all accounts, Williams a true comedic genius, and some of the best examples of Williams' love of performing are on display during his many appearances at USO events. Just watch as he gets interrupted here by the Army's retreat ceremony, which signals the end of the day and the lowering of the American flag at Army installations around the world. This was Williams in Kuwait back in 2007.
So the flag's coming down. Okay, good, because that's pretty weird in the middle of your act to have everyone just go. That's just like, wow! It's like in the middle of sex to go, bye-bye.
Well, the White House has responded to Williams' death. Even the Army's Chief of Staff, General Ray Odierno, tweeted, quote, "We are saddened at the loss of Robin Williams, a longtime supporter of our men and women overseas." Gary Sinise, a fellow actor and maybe the biggest actor/advocate for our armed forces, tweeted, quote, "R.I.P. Robin Williams. His genius as an artist and comedian will be missed. His support of our troops, no doubt, was much appreciated by all who served." Now, Williams' care for the military was no doubt influenced by his iconic role in Good Morning Vietnam. The man who inspired that role, the real-life Adrian Cronauer, joined us here on Newsmax TV today to talk about his fondest memories of Williams.
Whenever you encountered Robin, he was always on. You'd walk up to him and say hello, and he'd start doing a routine for you. And the only time my wife and I ever saw him let that down, even a little bit, was when he was playing with his own children. Because, you see, they are able to give him unconditional love, and therefore they're no threat to him.
Adrian Cronauer speaking there with J.D. Hayworth today. Now, Williams, as we know, and as we've mentioned, struggled with addiction throughout much of his career. The comedic great also fought a battle too familiar for many of our nation's veterans. Take a look at these stats right here. 31% of our military vets have considered suicide. 40% know a vet from Iraq or Afghanistan that has committed suicide. 47% know at least one Iraq or Afghan veteran who has tried to kill himself or herself. 53% have some sort of mental illness, and 27% of that 53% are not seeking any care or treatment. That's because there's still a stigma, of course, surrounding mental health and suicides. The VA reported last year that on average, 22 vets commit suicide every single day. So whether it's a member of the military or a famous actor like Robin Williams, one suicide is too many. And as we look for silver linings after Williams' death, maybe his connection to the military and the tragic circumstances surrounding his death, maybe that might change things. Maybe it might lessen the stigma and prevent suicides, more of them anyway, from happening. Back to you, Steve.
John, thanks very much. And we'll be back with America's psychologist, Dr. Jeffrey Gardier, to talk more about this and the circumstances surrounding the suicide after the break. But first, we take a look at this hour's American Moment, and that brings us to President Richard Nixon's trip to China. Don't go away.
His presidency was one of the most vexing in American history. Mention the name Richard Milhous Nixon, and some will always remember him as the president who resigned over Watergate. But many others will credit him with one of the greatest diplomatic achievements, the reestablishment of relations between the United States and the People's Republic of China.
As I have pointed out on a number of occasions over the past 3 years, there can be no stable and enduring peace without the participation of the People's Republic of China and its 750 million people.
For 25 years, diplomatic relations between the two great nations had chilled, following the United States' decision to recognize Taiwan as the legitimate government of China. President Nixon and his then National Security Advisor, Dr. Henry Kissinger, reached out to his communist adversary to change that.
The meeting between the leaders of China and the United States is to seek the normalization of relations between the two countries and also to exchange views on questions of concern to the two sides.
On February 21st, 1972, President Nixon, along with his wife Pat, arrived in Beijing. He was feted by the Chinese and honored by no less a figure than Chairman Mao himself. Richard Nixon's opening of China to the West has been described as genius, the boldest diplomatic move on the global chessboard in a century. In one stroke, Nixon had separated communist China from the Soviet Union, reducing the power of the communist bloc and paving the way for the eventual end of the Cold War. For Newsmax TV, I'm Bill Curtis, and this is an American Moment.